a lot more on other systems for that now, more on the items, and this is partly also to make the items even more important. That really almost all your attribute gains come from the items themselves.
Do you plan to add exclusive monsters or exclusive quests in the highest mode of difficulty?
There's a lot of talk on the team about what we can do with the higher difficulty modes. The tricky thing is that the higher difficulty modes are really a way to add more gameplay without adding more content. Like, that was their goal. So adding more content kind of defeats the original goal. That being said, I want to find a way for people to get into those more eloquently and make sure that those modes are as good as they can be. We'll probably look at easy ways to do, but as far as exclusive content, my guess is not a lot. Quests are probably the most likely because they're data. Anything that's data driven, we can probably do a lot more easily. So if we can come up with like quest changes and things that could be data driven, we might do something like that.
I have sort of a follow up on that. People have wondered in the highest level, there's like, is it going to be the whole game? You can, like seeing on Hell difficulty, is it going to be roughly equivalent difficulty, acts 1 through 4, however many acts there are? Or are people all just going to end up doing mail run? If you're going to make the whole act, so the whole game on the highest difficulty, so basically that's an end game for level 80, level 90 characters.
I think there's a couple of issues there, and one is that Hell difficulty did not span to end game. Like, it really kind of loses its validity once you're about level 80. So we have to make some kind of adjustment to make sure that we're using all the levels that we're allowing the player to go to. There are other issues too, and a lot of them have to do with efficiency. The player will go to wherever is the most efficient place for them to go. There's a lot of ways that you can get around that, and I tend to like ways that are more revolving around reward. A good example is in World of Warcraft. They focused on quests. Quests are what keep you from grinding a single monster till your eyes bleed, because quests are a more efficient way to level than grinding. So what we really need to do is find a more efficient way for people to do what they want to do at the end game of Diablo, something that gets them to play more of the game as a whole. And it needs to be the best way, so that it's not something that we're forcing them to do. It's something the player just naturally wants to do, because they're like, oh, this is the best way to get what I want. So that's kind of we have ideas on that front, but I wouldn't reveal them at this point.
People would complain, everybody does the cow level, but of course they're doing the cow level because that's where the best reward is. They complain, and then we go play it anyway. So it'd be great if there was a wider variety.
Players won't play won't play in the way that's most fun. They'll play in the way that gives them the most progression, and that's fine. That's what players want to do. It's our job to make sure that the way that they want to play is also the most fun way.
Okay, guys, sorry, this is going to be the last question.
I would like to ask something about the rune system. When I started to play Diablo 3 yesterday first, they dropped some minor rune of striking or so. How many of the runes are there, and are there in different levels, like minor, greater? And are there also runes that not push your damage but grant you more defense, like adding some armor to the defense skills?
So to say first, there are levels to the runes. They do get more powerful. How many levels we haven't decided yet. It's a data issue. We can make as many as we want, but we'll, as we continue to balance the game, and once we probably won't cap the rune levels until we get into Hell, and we're not even through normal yet. As to whether there might be runes that are not offensively focused, it depends on the skill they're put into. For example, there are lots of runes that if I use mirror images, which is an ability on the wizard that allows her to make copies of herself, A lot of the runes focus on making those copies last longer or making more copies. So those are essentially defensive uses for runes. So it really depends upon the skill. If there was a skill that, say, added defense, there certainly could be a rune that affected that, or a skill that was just generally defensive. But we don't really have any plans for runes that add attributes. Just to like, I use this rune and it will have this effect on the skill and add +5 strength. We don't have any plans for that because we don't want people to choose runes based on other attribute bonuses. We want them to choose them based on making the skill better. And I think if they had other attribute bonuses, people would be like, oh, I really want this rune because I want the +5 strength, even though I don't like the effect of it. And we never want that decision. We always want it to be, oh, I want my skill to do this because it's cool.
So how many runes will be there?
In terms of different types of runes?
Yeah.
I think right now we have 5 or 6 different types, but we can make as many as we want. Our goal is to make them, and that's different types. Levels, right now, I don't know, but there's like lethality, multi-strike, I can never remember all the names of them because one of the other designers designed the system. But I think there's 5 or 6 right now, and we'll probably add more as we come up with ideas for them. But whenever we do, we only add a rune type if we feel that there's enough skills that can interact with that type and that idea. We've also haven't ruled out the idea of maybe some class-specific runes, so we haven't done it yet. But it's certainly something we could do. It could be on the table.
Can I just quickly ask, favourite colour, favourite meal and favourite animal? That's all I want.
I'm sorry, favorite?
Colour, meal, animals.
My favorite color is green. My favorite meal is, my mom makes this lasagna that's awesome.
Cool.
And it's good. And my favorite animal is probably my cat.
Okay, cool. That's